gotta get out of here. That was a low-budget reenactment of the movie we are going to be talking about today. A movie that makes Jackass look like a controlled environment. And that film is the 1981 adventure epic known as Roar. A movie so dangerous it left over 70 cast and crew members, with others speculating over 100 cast and crew members injured. This is the story of the most dangerous movie ever made. God, do we have a good one in store today. In case you were wondering, this thing was a shit show from the get-go. To get to the beginning of the story, we have to go all the way back to 1969, which is actually 12 years before the film was released. Actress Tippi Hedren of Birds fame and her husband Noel Marshall, a Hollywood producer, were in Mozambique shooting a movie called Satan's Harvest. While on location, they came across a half-abandoned game preserve turned national park where lions were roaming freely through empty buildings. In an interview with the magazine outlet Parade, Tippi Hedren once said, "It was an amazing thing to see. The lions were sitting in the windows, they were going in and out of the doors, they were sitting on the verandas, they were on top of the Portuguese house, and they were also in front of the house. It was such a unique thing to see, and we thought, for a movie, let us use the great cats as our stars." It struck them. What if people and wild animals could live together peacefully? Of course, that's just a fun thought experiment that could never actually happen. Right? No, that could never actually happen, right? Right? Wrong. After the shoot for Satan's Harvest, Hedren and Marshall would return home to California, where Marshall would begin the first semblance of what would become the script for Roar. He envisioned an adventure film with comedy and drama and moments of stark terror when the humans and animals interacted. He also wanted there to be an underlying message of exotic animal conservation as well. So basically, he just wanted this thing to be every genre. He didn't care whatever it was, he just throw it at the wall, and that's the genre it was going to be. Marshall wanted the human and animal interactions to be very genuine. And so because of that, he scripted it out for many of the moments throughout the script to allow for impromptu animal moments. Because, of course, the animals are all classically trained actors who, they just wanted some improv. Marshall wanted to allow them to use their improv skills. Oh yeah, I forgot these are real freaking animals, and you can't tell a lion or a tiger what to do. In an attempt to start familiarizing themselves with the animals that would be used on the set during the shoot, Hedren and Marshall actually began adopting pet lions. Yes, they were the Tiger King before there was a Tiger King. They had up to 3 lions in their Sherman Oaks home in the suburbs of LA, and of course, the authorities eventually shut that down in 1972. So what did these entirely rational people do about it? Well, they bought a 50-acre ranch near Acton, California that would triple as a home, a film set, and a big cat sanctuary. By 1979, this ranch had been built up to mimic exactly what Hedren and Marshall saw when in Mozambique, and they also had over 150 wild, exotic animals living there. Untrained animals. Those included lions, tigers, elephants, jaguars, panthers, flamingos, and a taigen. A taigen. Do you know what a taigen is? A taigen is a male tiger and a female lion that were bred to create this monstrosity, which is actually a beautiful animal. But why are we breeding tigers and lions? Because we are humans and we always pick the stupid thing to do. The family often shared their living spaces with the animals, which included lions and tigers and elephants roaming through the kitchens and the bedrooms and the pantries, you name it. And this was done by design because the smart guy, Marshall, wanted everything to come off as very authentic when they were living just normal real life and also when they were shooting. Because, of course, once he turned the cameras on, all these big cats were going to be on their best behavior, right? Because it wasn't just going to be authentic anyways. Due to the fact that this movie was essentially breaking every regulation known to man, and the fact that they were also running out of money before the shooting even started, they opted to hire non-union workers because it was cheaper, and they also opted to just cast their whole family in every role. Hedren would be the lead actress, Marshall would be the director and the lead actor, and then Hedren's daughter, Melanie Griffith, would be a supporting role along with some of Marshall's sons. The stage was set, the animals acquired, the cast and crew and location locked in. There's only one thing left to do. Lights, camera, action. By the time filming actually began in 1976, things were already going haywire, completely sideways. The original 6-month shooting time frame was not even going to come close, and the budget had continued to balloon. And Marshall couldn't get any financial backing because who wants to fund an obvious death trap? So Marshall had to finance it all for himself. What began as a $2 million expected budget was ran all the way up to $17 million. He had to put pretty much every penny to his name into this movie to get it shot. What could go wrong when you let over 100 wild and untrained animals run free amongst humans? Actually, everything could go wrong. Of the estimated 140-member crew, John Marshall, the son of director Noel Marshall and one of the actors in the movie, alleged that over 100 members of the cast and crew were hurt while shooting this, and the casualties came early and often. Tippi Hedren was bitten in the head by a lion whose teeth scraped her skull. She was later thrown off of an elephant and broke her ankle, and then contracted gangrene from this. This same elephant bucked another crew member off of it earlier in the shoot and broke their shoulder too. Then there was cinematographer Jean de Bont, who was scalped and required nearly 220 stitches. Or Melanie Griffith, who was mauled in the face by a lion and required facial reconstructive surgery and almost lost an eye. Or Noel Marshall, the lead actor and director, who was bitten and punctured so many times that he also contracted gangrene and blood poisoning. And then there was assistant director Doran Copper, who was mauled so badly that he had injuries to the neck, throat, face, thigh, and chest. That seems like some really messed up version of head, shoulders, knees, and toes. This attack on Copper proved nearly fatal and left him in an emergency 5-hour surgery. And trust me, it doesn't end there. It never ends. Crew members quit daily. Marshall was once quoted as saying that they had to go through 3 cinematographers because the first 2 were eaten out of a job. As you could imagine, morale was low. And then in 1978, the flood happened. After a heavy night of rain, a broken dam, and many pipes all flowed water into the sanctuary, which left the entire sanctuary and ranch just completely flooded and destroyed. 15 lions and tigers actually escaped because some of the walls had been destroyed during the flood, and unfortunately, 3 of those lions had to be shot by local law enforcement. Multiple crew members had to be rescued from drowning, and as I mentioned, almost all of the ranch and set was completely destroyed. When it was all said and done, it took over 8 months to completely rebuild the sanctuary sanctuary, including a purchase of 700 replacement trees. And then, when that was finally dealt with, there were wildfires, 12 of them to be exact, that broke out all around Acton, California, and the sanctuary. This forced an even longer delay, as you can imagine. So yeah, if you couldn't already put it together, most of the moments you see while the camera is rolling when you're watching this movie are completely real. None of it was planned, and they were just lucky enough to capture these moments as the humans and the animals actively suffered. At least all of this chaos amounted to a box office smash. It would have been disastrous if the movie flopped. Actually, it did flop. It flopped so bad that it only brought back $2 million on a budget of nearly $17 million. And it didn't actually receive a US theatrical release until 2015. At the time of its release, none of the American distributors wanted to touch it. And this was because of a combination of bad press, real injuries, and a confusing tone. No one really knew if this was a family-friendly movie or a horror movie or an adventure epic. It was basically just your emotionally toxic ex that no one wanted to touch. This financial disaster also bankrupted Marshall and led to the divorce of Hedren and Marshall. So, long story short, all of this suffering was done for what was basically a straight-to-DVD movie. God, aren't these people genius? Over the years, the actual absurdity that kind of encapsulated the movie has led the film to gain a little bit of a cult following. And Draft House Films actually did finally give it a US theatrical release in 2015. Look, I'll be honest, this movie is pretty hilarious because it goes exactly how you'd imagine a movie dictated by wild animals to go. It is essentially 90 minutes of Marshall just running around and trying to yell at these big cats to stop attacking people. There's no storyline, no character arcs, just vibes. Just a bunch of people terrified by big cats and a madman running around trying to stop those big cats. There's a scene in this movie where a couple of fully grown male lions are full on brawling. Like, full on trying to kill each other. And Marshall takes it upon himself to try and get in between the two of them and stop this fight. And what ensues is hilariously terrifying. While the plot is not cohesive at all, you can't help but be entranced by everything going on the screen because there is a real sense of danger. And it's just so absurd to think what you're watching is like actually happening. And it's kind of terrifying, too. There were a couple times when I had to look away because I was so sure that a human was about to have their face eaten. Today, Roar is remembered less as a movie and more as a monument to human delusion. And if there's one thing us humans are great at being, it is being highly delusional. So, the question, was it all worth it? Well, Noel Marshall lost his fortune, his marriage, and probably a few fingers. But hey, at least he got a movie where his whole family was put in existential danger because they were being chased around by 400-pound big cats. You can't convince me otherwise that Roar is just what happens when rich people get bored and run out of hobbies and want to throw a bunch of their money at something. So was there that conservation message that they were going for? Kinda. Was it a family film? Yeah, I mean, sorta. Was it a horror movie? Yeah, I think that fits the bill the most. Anyways, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Don't film with lions. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much, guys.